Hello, this is your intel girl from the spirit world. Now, we got another spirit that we're going to be dealing with, a spirit that's actually named in the Bible this time. Now, last week I talked about vampires, lycans, and those spirits that are not of God, and how to test and try the spirit. Well, this spirit is actually an idol, an old ancient idol that the one of the other groups of people besides the people of God, the Israelites, and the Judah, and the people of God, the other countries and the other, people that were coming against God, pray to this God. And of course, this God has been, romanticized. It makes it seem like it's cute and nice and just wants love. You've seen many movies about, this particular idol, which is a mermaid or merman. You've seen it mainly as women. For example, like in, Daryl Hannah Splash 1,000 years ago in the 80s. And then of course, you have the Disney favorite, The Little Mermaid with Ariel. And you also recently, these past few years, you saw a merman, in the likeness of Jason Momoa in Aquaman 1 and 2. And then the other, mermaid, species in the whole movie. It was a hero movie, good versus evil, and trying to save the day and things of that nature. But in actuality, mermaids and mermans are not as, glamorous and beautiful. And of course, there have been, accounts even on YouTube and other social medias where they've seen actual sightings. Now, they're not actually cute and gorgeous as they appear. And then there's another example of them in the second Black Panther movie, where you see these groups of people that live under the water. Now, they don't necessarily look like, shaped like fishes or anything like that, but they're able to seemingly, live deep underwater. And of course, they can make sounds like sirens. So they were part of it as well. But I'm going to come from a scripture. We're now in the Old Testament where he talked about this idol. And of course, idols are any, figure, any particular being, person that, we pray to besides God, Jehovah Jireh. And of course, as God was establishing, he established his covenant with us through different kings. Of course, other cultures prayed to other gods and idols. And one of these particularly was Philistines. The Philistines were enemies of God. They always come against us. And of course, they prayed to a particular god called Dagon, Dagon. And they actually had a movie about this particular god a long time ago. Movie about actually who Dagon was. He's a god of, a fish god, a fish demon, demonic god. So the Philistines had took the Ark of the Covenant from the people of God. And this particular set of scriptures is what happens when they try to bring God's holy thing into this, idol's temple. And of course, Dagon represented fertility. He was a man that had hands, and, likeness of man in the top part, but then the bottom part was a tail. And of course, they were prayed to this God for fertility, for fruitfulness. The thing is, also, you could become one if you continue to entertain with the spirit, just like with vampires and lycans. You start to take on their nature and their form, and even to the point where you can actually become one because of demonic possession and because of continue to, expose yourself to it and contaminate yourself. You can literally become one and you stay in the water forever. So there was not a whole bunch of mermaids in the Bible times until people kept on idolizing and worshiping these gods. Okay, so I'm in 1 Samuel 5. I'm in verse 1. And the Philistines took the ark of God and brought it from Ebenezer unto Ashdod. Verse 2, when the Philistines took the ark of God, they brought it unto the house of Dagon. And this is the temple where the fish god was, and set it by Dagon. Verse 3, and when they of Ashdod arose early on the morrow, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face of the earth before the ark of the Lord. And they took Dagon and set him in his place again. And when they arose early on the morrow morning, behold, Dagon was falling upon his face of the ground before the ark of the Lord. And the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left of him. Therefore, neither the priests of Dagon, nor any that come into Dagon's house, tread on the threshold of Dagon and Ashdod until this day. So God, you brought holy stuff into a, idolatrous temple. And of course, God has something to do with that statue, being destroyed. But there's other gods that people have put the statues up all around the world. So Dagon is a mermaid, a type of a fish demon. And of course, back in the day, there was different idols, different spirits, and different demonic spirits that would be in different regions. And of course, they would lure, certain, people into believing that they were godly, they were supernatural, and that it's okay to, talk to us, worship us. And of course, there was always the end result, which is death and destruction, or demonic possession and transformation into the likeness of the spirit. So mermaids and mermans, they're different type of marine spirits. But we're going to talk about these two in particular because they have been romanticized. They have been, lifted up as something people want to be. Even people, have jobs to become mermaids and mermans. And to do this as a lifestyle, as a job. It's always this lure of being half this and half that. Being you be able to swim in the water, but you still human-like. So there's some, misconceptions of mermaids. They are actually, territorial. They're vicious, and what they do is lure you into the water in order to drown you, devour you, or take you to where they are, and you become one of them. And never come back to the earth again. Literally, you become a fish demon as well. And so, in a particular movie I watched where there was always a need. They always come around when there's a need, and they're always near the water. So if there was a particular region that was, in famine, that needed water, that needed fish, they needed food, what they would do is go pray to that particular god in the water, and they would provide, abundance of fish, abundance of things that they needed from, the water, and it would bring, supplies. It would bring different stuff, to them that they needed. Problem is, you had to continue to worship it, and eventually you became it. Now, in this particular movie, that was, years ago, I just, watched it and didn't realize this is actually what it did, in its actuality. Eventually, everyone on the island became a fish demon, a fish spirit. They became demonic. And this man didn't realize he was actually kin to it until he got there, and it was a little too late, and he realized that that was part of his bloodline. See, the thing is, when you entertain these spirits and demons, they will get into your bloodline, they will get into your family, and you wonder why your family deals with this particular spirit or demons or issues or health problems in their life. And so he didn't realize all the stuff he was dealing with was in relation to his, connection. And then when he found out, eventually what the enemy, and the spirits want to do is literally wreck your life. And you just continually tormented and terrorized by this fish, by this demon. And then you eventually either, rebuke it, denounce it, bind it up, or you become one with it and let it, be part of your life and part of your future and part of your, damnation to hell, because that's what eventually its purpose to do. Now, mermaids are vicious. They do devour and eat flesh. They do devour and eat different, human pieces of bodies. They are not exactly, friendly in terms of they're going to, help you in the water. No, they're going to drown you. Now, there's other type of marine spirits like sirens. And they can also make sounds, wonderful sounds to lure the people, lure, fishermen, lure men on the boat or women's on the boat to be drowned or to crash the boat and die. That's another one. And of course, their main one that they have on the guys that they, always, celebrate is like Poseidon and Neptune. In mythology, Dagon have many names. A lot of these spirits and demons over the time, over the centuries, as the earth and the world starts to, progress, and technology and industrial things start to come, and they start to expand and become more, less primitive and more, integrated into dividing different things like, boats and things like that. They will have machines. Well, these regional demons start changing their name. So Dagon in the Bible was called Dagon. Eventually in Greek time, he was called, Poseidon, and then Neptune, Greek and Roman translations. And they become, whatever it is at that time. Now, they've made him into a hero where he's Aquaman. And he's an aqua boy that becomes a man that, is a hero, but he is not. This is the one that troubles the water. If you do not provide sacrifices to them, especially these spirits like this fish demon, mermaid, merman, they will, of course, start to wreak havoc on your life. You have to continually do blood sacrifice to them. You have to continually, worship them. You have to continually do set times and places where you give worship to them. And then if you continue to do that, you'll become like them eventually in the future. That's full demonic possession. Most of the time, it does not get to that point because they either have killed you, destroyed you, or you do something to them and you're no longer there. So rarely do they transform. They tend to make their own kind. And a lot of this came from, of course, different, demonic entities and spirits that were created to, destroy and corrupt the earth. God made everything good. He made animals good, fish good, but then the evil spirits and Satan himself would come and twist it and make it into a form of some ungodly form, so we can worship everything but God. G-O-D, the big G-O-D. So all these things, like I said in the last video, we always search for something that's supernatural, something that it takes us out of the norm of the earthly existence. So, and of course, the way to, know that this particular spirit is invading your life is watching, certain patterns in your life, certain desires. Why are you so attracted to water? Why are you so fascinated with, fish gods and Aquaman and mermaids and mermans? Why are you so, and of course, people don't realize when they put these symbols and signs and worship of mermaids and stuff, they don't realize they're giving, rites of passage to these spirits to invade your life. Because there's many marine spirits, but if one of those come in, then another one gonna come in, then another one of them friends gonna come in, and then you're completely tormented and terrorized. And your life is invaded spiritually, naturally, as well as physically. So, this was the intel on mermaids and mermaids. They are demonic. They are monstrous as all outdoors. They will terrorize you. They will torment and try to kill you. Rarely are you demonically possessed because you have to go to a certain level, certain rituals to do all that. And in order to become like these creatures or become part or one with them, you have to do a whole lot of ceremonies and things like that. And you have to hope to the point where you just give up your whole will and being. And that takes a lot. That takes a lot. Most of the time, they don't get to that point. You don't get to that point because they kill you. Now, there was another movie that really showed them how they are cannibalistic and they're murderous. It was a movie called Sweetheart. And it's on Netflix, if it still is a Prime Video, where this girl was on this island. And, of course, she ended up, stranded, from this boat where these her party people were. And, as she's on this boat, she started to realize there's a big old hole in the ground and the water. And then eventually she sees some big old gigantic demonic figure in the water coming on the island. Of course, she hides herself. And it's huge and it smells, like fish. It's disgusting. And then come to find out in the story, it had eaten whoever's landed on this island. It had eaten up everything on that island, everyone. And it was territorial. I'll tell you, they're territorial. If you're in their range, if you're in their region, you have to be aware, especially when you're going on vacations and stuff. Especially, different parts of the water. Be discernful. What particular region or spirits are in here. Because they can't be everywhere, but they be in certain places, especially near water. Especially near places where, it's a lot of, godlessness and lack of God and sacrifices and things of that nature. So, that was my intel on mermaids and mermans. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. If you have any questions, any examples that I missed that you learned about in mermaids and merman, but check out these scriptures and always test and try the spirits. See if they are God. Because God did not create a man to look like a fish and swim around. He made fishes. He made man. Now, next video, we're going to talk about cavemen and cave dwellers. Talk to you later. Continue to get the intel.